Hello and welcome. I'm Pallavi Sharma and you're watching BIZWORLD Weekly, a show that brings you all the news of the week that you probably missed out on related to world economy and markets. Let's start with the market check. Indian equity indices ended lower on a second consecutive session on April 25th after rallying for the rest of the week. Nifty closed 0.86% down at 24,036.35 points and Sensex ended 0.74% lower at 79,212.53 points. Top gainers on Nifty included SBI Life, Infosys, TCS, Tech Mahindra and IndusInd Bank. Top losers were Axis Bank, Adani Enterprises, Shriram Finance, Adani Ports and Trent. Among sectors except IT, all other indices ended in red with media, PSU, telecom, power, oil and gas and realty down 2 to 3% each. BSE mid-cap and small-cap shed 2.5% each. Rupee ended 17 paise lower at 85.44 per dollar on April 25. Gold prices traded at 95,390 rupees per 10 gram for 24 karat gold and 87,441 rupees per 10 gram for 22 karat gold in Delhi on April 25th. The lead story today is from India. India has witnessed the worst terror attack on civilians in years in Pahalgam of Kashmir. 26 innocent tourists were killed by 5 terrorists. Pakistan's Deputy Prime Minister said that they could have been freedom fighters and denied claims of harboring terror outfits. India has given its diplomatic response. A military response is awaited. Pakistan also retaliated to India's retaliation. It came out with similar list of restrictions on India. As of now, all bilateral agreements have been halted. The Simla agreement is suspended for now too, that India and Pakistan signed in 1971 after Pakistan lost in a war with India. It converted the 1971 ceasefire line to the LOC, establishing a de facto border in Jammu and Kashmir. And reports say that there were incidents of small arms firing at some places on the LOC initiated by Pakistan, and the firing was effectively responded to and there were no casualties on April 24th. But the two biggest economic blows were the suspension of Indus Water Treaty and the exchange of trade. Under the treaty, India was granted exclusive control over eastern rivers, Ravi, Beas and Satluj, while Pakistan was given rights over western rivers of Indus, Jhelum and Chenab. Now the rivers have their origins in Indian territory of Jammu and Kashmir. India concluded that Pakistan's continued support for terrorism violates the very spirit of this treaty, but instead of a formal withdrawal, India is opting to freeze all treaty-related cooperation, including technical meetings, data sharing, and water flow notifications, which means that it could stop or reduce the flow of water into the cash-strapped Pakistan through these rivers, which contribute to 80% of its irrigated land used for agriculture, which is a sector that contributes 25% of the country's GDP. Well, these efforts could significantly reduce the flow of surplus water into Pakistan that is estimated at up to 9.3 billion cubic meters annually. So the water flow disruption will impact Pakistan's agricultural sector. Roughly 80% of its irrigated land depends on Indus system. So it will reduce yields of key crops. There will be a stress on groundwater as farmers will turn to that now. Hydropower output, which supplies 30% of electricity, may decline. So economically, there is pressure because reduced yields will impact rural employment and increase urban migration. Major exports of agricultural goods like basmati rice and textiles will shrink, hitting Pakistan's foreign reserves. There will be water disputes among provinces and a crop shift too. Trade is stopped too, which will impact Pakistan more. Reports say that India exported goods worth $447.7 million to Pakistan in FY25 and India only imported $0.42 million worth of goods from Pakistan. In FY24, exports to Pakistan were at $1.18 billion and imports were at $2.88 million. Exports included critical goods like pharma products, sugar, vegetable, coffee, tea, spices, and more. So, well, it looks bad for Pakistan's struggling economy, as it will now have to pay more for Indian goods because it will now have to import them from third-party channels. And the stock markets declined too after India's response. Pakistan's KSE 100 index shed 2,111 points or 1.8% on April 24 due to tensions, and on April 25, Pakistan's stock exchange website is currently non-operational amid Indo-Pakistan tensions. So social media has reacted to this. One user said, "Good way to stop stock selling," and others wondered if Pakistan even had a stock exchange. Meanwhile, IMD has cut down the GDP forecast for Pakistan for FY25 to 2.6%. Well, loans, debt, and now more inflation. Can Pakistan even afford an attack on India? US President Donald Trump has gone back yet again on another statement he made about the Fed Chairman Jerome Powell. One of the most powerful leaders in the world, he has the power to influence the stock markets just by giving out a statement. It was the tariff back and forth first and then firing of Fed chairman. So what happened? Well, the president, who is very well known for calling names, he called Powell a major loser and Mr. Too Late. On April 21st, he said that the economy is facing no inflation virtually. In his post on Truth Social, Trump said, and I quote, "With these costs trending so nicely downwards, just what I predicted they would do, there can be almost no inflation, but there can be slowing of economy unless Mr. Too Late, a major loser, lowers interest rates now." He said Powell has always been too late and accused him of lowering interest rate to help quote-unquote sleepy Joe Biden, later Kamala, to get elected. These were his words for the Fed chairman, who, by the way, was appointed by him during his first term. And then the US stock markets fell again. On Monday, the Dow ended the day down 2.5% and Nasdaq Composite fell over 2.5% too, and S&P 500 saw a fall of 2.4%. The value of dollar fell multi-years low and gold shot up to 1 lakh rupees per 10 grams in India. Last week, Trump also said that he might remove Powell from his position. All this came after, in recent weeks, Powell spoke about Trump's tariffs and warned that they might lead to a challenging scenario for Fed, implying that Fed has no plans to cut rates anytime soon, and Trump wants just the opposite of that. But then, just after the stock markets fell on April 22nd, Trump took a U-turn. He said that he has no intention to fire Powell after advisors warned that it would backfire legally and economically, as per various reports.
No, I have no intention of firing him. I would like to see him be a little more active in terms of his idea to lower interest rates. This is a perfect time to lower interest rates.
He, however, on April 23rd said that Powell has kept the rates too high. He said he has historically been late.
He's keeping rates too high. He historically has been late, except when it came to Biden. He was recommended by a certain person that I'm not particularly happy with, but he will hopefully do the right thing. The right thing is to lower interest rates.
He also reiterated his stance on tariff hikes, saying that the country is going to do really well with all the tariff money starting to come in. And after that, the stock markets rose. On April 23rd, S&P 500 closed up 1.67% and Nasdaq Composite closed up by 2.5%. But Powell says that Fed will wait for greater clarity before making adjustments to the policy stance. Fed's forecast for the US economy saw slower growth for the year ahead, just like the other banks like Morgan Stanley and IMF, who cut their GDP growth forecasts for US. But why does Trump want the rate cuts to happen? Experts say that Trump believes that lower rates would help the economy and they would counteract any potential negative effect from the trade war. But Trump's actions only have made it harder for Fed to cut rates, as his tariffs could lead to higher inflation, as it could rise prices for businesses on components bought from the foreign suppliers. Customers will have to pay more as the cost passes on, and higher prices mean high inflation. And the employment rate is also declining, which could trigger stagflation if inflation also rises, leading to a recession in the world's largest economy. As of now, with high rates, Fed has been controlling inflation to an extent. Trump has taken yet another U-turn, tariffs on China this time. The US president, who imposed a 245% tariff on Chinese goods, has now signaled a potential U-turn on his trade war amid market volatility. He said that high tariffs on China will quote-unquote come down significantly but won't be zero. Trump made those remarks at the White House event on April 22nd, which is also when the stock markets saw an uptick. His statement comes weeks after China retaliated to US tariffs and imposed a 145% tariff on US goods. This also came after US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that high tariff rates between US and China had effectively embargoed trade between the world's largest economies. He said that the trade war with China is unsustainable, and he expected that battle will de-escalate in the near future, as per reports. Now, after this, China's foreign ministry said that US should stop its threats and coercion and engage with China on basis of equality, mutual respect and reciprocity if it wants to make a deal. Spokesperson of the ministry said that, claiming that he wants to reach an agreement with China while constantly applying pressure is not the right way to deal with China, and it simply won't work. Trump's shift in tone has gone viral on Chinese internet, and the hashtag Trump chickened out was trending as top topic on Weibo, racking up more than 150 million views. So far, the two economies have slapped record high tariffs on each other. The fight has been escalating and has roiled the global economy and the markets, disrupted supply chains and stoked recession fears. IMF has cut GDP forecast for the world by 0.5% for this year, and for China, the forecast is down to 4% from 4.6% earlier. And for US, the GDP growth is now projected at 1.8% from 2.7% earlier. IMF noted that the tariffs will be impacting Asian and European countries too, along with US and China. Now, the tariffs will impact both sides, but US might face the heat more than China, with the biggest companies relying on Chinese parts and manufacturing from Nvidia to Apple. While Chinese exporters are in distress and are trying to crack a deal with other countries providing huge discounts, which could lead to potential dumping of cheap Chinese products in other countries. Trump has repeatedly said that he will be very nice and that Chinese President Xi Jinping is a smart person. He also said that the ball is in China's court and all depends on when they will call to make a deal with the US. But well, if both sides are waiting for the call, who will call? The Trump administration is targeting the Southeast Asia now. US trade officials have finalized tariffs on most solar cells from Southeast Asia, up to 3,521% tariffs on imports of solar cells from 4 Southeast Asian countries. These tariffs will target companies in Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, and Vietnam. This comes after an investigation that began a year ago when American manufacturers of solar panels accused Chinese companies of flooding the market with subsidized cheap goods. Cambodia will face the highest tariffs of 3,521% because its companies did not cooperate with the investigation. Products made in Malaysia by Chinese manufacturer Jinko Solar will face duties of just 41%. Rival China Solar's products from Thailand will incur tariffs of 375%. The case was bought last year by a Korean company, Hanwha Q-Cells, Arizona-based First Solar, and several other small solar panel makers in the US. They accuse Chinese companies with factories in Cambodia, Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam of shipping panels priced below their cost of production. While those in favor of this arrangement say that it will address the unfair trade practices which have been injuring the US manufacturing industry for far too long, critics like the Solar Energy Industry Association trade group have said that tariffs would harm US solar producers because that would rise prices on imported cells that are assembled into panels by the American factories. And those facilities have been on a rise since the new subsidy for clean energy manufacturing was created. The threat of tariffs is on countries that supplied more than $10 billion of solar products to the US last year. This accounted for the vast majority of domestic supplies. The head of International Energy Agency said that he thought the lessons from Ukraine have not yet been fully understood as per reports. He also added that there are 3 golden rules for energy security: diversification of supplies, sufficient political predictability to allow companies to make long-term investments, and global cooperation. However, this is just a plan yet. A separate US government agency, International Trade Commission, will make the final decision on these tariffs in June this year. A private dinner with the US president, an ultra-exclusive invitation. It is not for the wealthiest people in the world or for the world leaders. It is not even for big shot superstars or big companies. It is for investors like you and me, the top 220 holders of Trump meme coin. The website of the meme coin on April 23rd announced this, and the coin saw a spike of 60% post the announcement. It said that the intimate dinner with the President of the United States will be held at his private club in Washington on May 22nd. The President is reportedly going to talk about the future of crypto over the private dinner. In the announcement, it was said that top 25 holders could get a quote-unquote ultra-exclusive private VIP reception with the president, as well as a special tour. And what does it take to be a part of this exclusive dinner? Well, the meme coin itself. The announcement says that your average coins will determine your spot, get more coins, and climb the ranks. So that's exactly what people did, driving the surge in the meme coin. Trump has promised to be America's first crypto president, and his administration has moved swiftly to scale back crypto enforcement and ease the industry's regulatory framework. His family ventures include a new crypto exchange, World Liberty Financial, and a pivot to crypto finance by Trump Media and Tech Group. Trump holds a $3 billion stake in this social media company. The post on the website promoting the coin is the latest flurry of crypto-related forays taken by Trump and his family that have garnered them hundreds of millions of dollars in fees alone, as per reports. Tony Kark, who is the Executive Director of Accountable US, a non-partisan government ethics watchdog group, has told Reuters that there has never been a clearer case of a president using his office to put money in his pockets. While the White House press secretary said that Trump's assets are managed by his children and there are no conflicts of interest. And this is not the first time, as per reports. Earlier, President Trump hosted dinners with buyers of his NFT collections. The Trump meme coin was launched days before his inauguration, triggering backlash as to whether a sitting president can launch a meme coin in his own name. His meme coin lost a lot of value since his inauguration, while his family expands its crypto investments. The announcement, though, came with terms. It said President Trump might not be able to attend the dinner, but the winners would receive a limited edition Trump NFT in lieu thereof. What do you think of this? Let us know in the comments. The most ambitious defense programs in US history was announced by Trump as soon as he took office. It is called the Golden Dome. He asked Pentagon to take another look at the missile defense. A Golden Dome, as Trump calls it, will be more complex and expensive to build. The key part of the new missile defense system will likely be space-based interceptors. A number of defense companies have expressed interest in trying to build the Golden Dome. But now the buzz is around whether Elon Musk is going to join the $2.5 trillion venture. Recent reports hint that SpaceX, Musk's rocket company, will play a major role in building the massive space-based missile shield that Trump wants. Now, the Golden Dome will be a protective shield that can detect and destroy incoming threats like ballistic missiles, hypersonic weapons, and advanced cruise missiles before they even reach the US soil. As per Trump's January order, he wants to cover threats from peer, near-peer, and rogue adversaries, which is understood to mean the Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran, as per reports. What it needs is hundreds and thousands of satellites in low Earth orbit, advanced radar systems, orbital interceptors, and maybe futuristic tech like directed energy weapons. Now, the buzz around Musk taking up this project came after Reuters reported that Musk is reportedly teaming up with Palantir, a data software firm, and Anduril, a defense startup focused on drones and AI-based security, to design the components of the Golden Dome. They reportedly plan to deploy 400 to 1,000 satellites to track missile activity around the world. But Musk denied these claims. In a post on X, he said, and I quote, "SpaceX has not tried to bid for any contract in this regard. Our strong preference will be to stay focused on taking humanity to Mars. If the president asks us for help in this regard, we will do, but I hope the other companies can take this." So basically, Musk has denied the claim, but the market is very attractive, and even if SpaceX does not make any weapons, it can play a major role in missile tracking and satellite launches if asked to. But how much will it cost to make this Golden Dome? Well, it will require high-tech web satellites constantly orbiting around the Earth, along with advanced ground stations and control systems. Trump's defense team believes that this could cost as much as $2.5 trillion. The project is in early stage and no contracts have been awarded yet, but reports claim that the model could work like a subscription service where the government pays for the private satellite data instead of owning the system completely. The global defense market is booming due to geopolitical turmoil on the rise and animosities escalating it into hostilities. As per the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, in 2024, the global military spending hit a record high of $2.46 trillion. In Europe alone, defense spending rose 11.7%. India's defense budget rose 9.5%. China's spending rose 7.2%, and US allocated $823.3 billion for defense as per the report. Trump also asked NATO to spend at least 5% of its GDP on defense, prompting Europe to spend more. Elon Musk, Trump's advisor and his friend, has decided to cut back his role in the US government after his EV company Tesla recorded a drop in profit and sales for the start of 2025. Musk leads the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. His job is to cut US spending and jobs. But now he says that the time he is allocating to DOGE will drop significantly from the next month, adding that he would spend only 1 or 2 days per week on it. This comes after accusations were made that he has taken his focus off Tesla. Now, is this exit political, or is it really because Tesla is stressed? Because both things are happening. His involvement in politics sparked protests and boycotts of Tesla cars around the world. Next month, legally, his role should expire as he is a temporary government employee and is limited to working 130 days a year. It is unclear whether Musk will step down completely now or not, because Trump has urged Musk to stay. He said that he would keep Musk for as long as he could keep him, and he said that he's a great patriot. Musk has contributed more than $250 million to Trump's election campaign, and now he says that he will not leave the administration completely because his work is critical, and pledges to stay as long as the president wants him to and as long as it is useful. Meanwhile, Tesla reported a 20% drop in car sales for the first 3 months of the year versus the same period last year, while the profit fell more than 70%. That's huge. The company warned investors that the pain could continue declining to offer a growth forecast. It said that the changing political sentiment could fully hurt demand. Musk blamed the boycott of Tesla cars on people who would try to attack him or the Doge team, saying that he received threats. Well, this is what happens when you mix business with politics. You hurt someone, the business is hurt too. Since Musk took charge, he has sacked many federal employees, cancelled contracts, stopped aids, and whatnot. People protested, so shares of Tesla shed about 37% in value this year. Now, not only the political scenario, Trump's tariffs on China also weighed heavy on Tesla. While the company says that the vehicles are completely assembled in US, it depends on the many parts that are made in China. As per reports, Tesla said that rapidly evolving trade policy could hurt supply chain and raise costs. Earlier, Musk even clashed on trade with Trump administration figures, including trade advisor Peter Navarro. He called him a moron over comments that he made about Tesla and said that Musk was not a car manufacturer but an assembler in many cases. Musk also called Navarro dumber than a sack of bricks. After that, he said that there is no other company that makes cars that are purely manufactured in the US. But political or not, focusing back on Tesla looked like a necessary step for the company and declining wealth of the world's richest man, because looks like Trump's brand endorsement was not enough to help revive sales of the company. There's a saying, being polite to someone will not cost you anything, but it will make someone else's day. But you being polite is costing OpenAI a lot. Politeness is adding to OpenAI's bills. CEO Sam Altman has revealed that the expressions like please and thank you are costing the company tens of millions of dollars. But why? Why a hefty price tag on politeness? Well, the reason is technical. It all started when a question on X popped up, asking wonder how much money OpenAI has lost in electricity from people saying please and thank you to their models. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman responded by saying tens of millions of dollars, but he says the cost is well spent, and even said that the actual cost could be even higher by adding you never know to it. But why? Well, each message requires a fresh reply from the AI. How it works is that if I ask a question to ChatGPT, it goes back to the data that is available to it, stored in powerful supercomputers, and then comes back to you to reply. And these supercomputers use huge amounts of electricity and water to cool down. As per Goldman Sachs research, energy use is climbing due to heavy demands of generative AI models. It said by 2028, AI is expected to account for roughly 19% of all the data center electricity use. It estimates that each query of ChatGPT-4 uses around 2.9 watt-hours of electricity, which means 10 times the energy a typical Google search uses. With over 1 billion requests made every day, that is about 2.9 million kilowatt hours of energy or electricity used daily. While it costs so much, a survey from 2024 found that 67% Americans said that they use good manners with AI because it still matters even with machines, while 12% admitted that they are just playing it safe in case of an AI uprising. Have you heard of the viral kunafa chocolate? Yes, the one made with pistachio butter and kunafa from Dubai. It became a TikTok sensation in December 2023. While it may look like a treat as per reports, it has caused a bigger issue, a global one in fact, a supply crunch of pistachios. The chocolate was launched by FIX in 2021, who named it "I Can't Get Enough of It." And since it got viral, people shared their videos of trying the chocolate and making their own version of it too. After the steep rise in the global demand for the chocolate, reports say that the price of pistachio kernel went up from $7.65 a year ago to around $10.3 a pound now, as per reports. Now, the high prices too did not calm the chocolate fanatics down. Other chocolatiers also launched their version. Lind's version, priced at £10 for 145 gram of the bar in the UK, is double the price versus its other chocolate bars. It became such a sensation that some shops reportedly limited the number of it one can buy. In India too, it was very popular. US is the biggest exporter of pistachio in the world. As per reports, last year's harvest of the nut was not up to the mark, and that endangered its supply. Traders say that the crop was, however, better quality than usual, which means that there were fewer of the cheaper shell-free nuts that normally are used in chocolates. When the chocolate went viral, the world was already facing a shortage, and the Dubai viral chocolate made it worse for pistachio traders. Iran is the second largest supplier of pistachios, and as per data from Iran's customs office, the country exported 40% more nuts to the UAE in last 6 months till March 2025 than it did a year before that. Chocolatiers are also struggling to keep up with the rising demand of the viral bar. The original company behind the viral bar expressed concerns over being exploited by other brands and misleading customers. It now is a matter of exclusivity to get these chocolates, as the company does not trade it outside the UAE and it goes for sale only for 2 hours a day, as per reports. Have you tried this viral chocolate? Let us know in the comments. Can aliens take revenge? Can they turn people into stones? Do aliens even exist? Well, a declassified CIA file from the Cold War era has resurfaced, and these questions are now relevant. It reveals shocking claims that Soviet Union soldiers in Ukraine encountered a UFO and were allegedly turned into stones by aliens. According to the file, a platoon of Soviet Union soldiers fired upon a flying saucer during a training exercise. The extraterrestrial beings allegedly retaliated by turning 23 soldiers into stone before escaping the scene. The CIA obtained a 250 kgb report about the incident after the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991. The report allegedly includes eyewitnesses' accounts and disturbing images of the aftermath. As per the report, the situation had escalated after a soldier fired surface-to-air missiles, striking the UFO and causing it to crash land. The report claims that it fell to earth not far away, and 5 short humanoids with large heads and large black eyes emerged from it. The soldiers who survived described how the beings merged into one single spherical object, and seconds later the spheres grew much bigger and exploded, flaring up with an extremely bright light. Reports said that at the very instant, 23 soldiers who watched the phenomena turned into stone. Only 2 who were less exposed, standing in shade, survived. In the KGB file, one agent described the scene as quote-unquote a horrific picture of revenge on part of the extraterrestrial creatures. The file says that the KGB allegedly seized the petrified soldiers and damaged spacecraft to a secret base near Moscow, and scientists discovered that an unknown light source had transformed the soldiers' living cells to a limestone-like substance. The CIA responded to the file and said, and I quote, "If the KGB file responds to reality, this is extremely menacing case. The aliens possess weapons and technologies that go beyond all our assumptions. They can stand up for themselves if attacked. Reports suggest that the event took place between 1989 to 1990. However, a former CIA agent expressed doubt. Mike Baker said that if it was an incident, he suspects that the actual report does not look like what it has come out from 5, 6, or 7 iterations of what originally was written. True or not? Well, that's not known yet. But what do you think about this? Let us know in the comments. And that's all for this week. I will see you in the next week. Till then, stay tuned to ET Now for more such latest news and views.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.